Stories are heard every hour on Central Illinois' news station, the Big 1520 AM and 92.3 FM WHOW. Stream live at DeWittDailyNews.com. They're also heard every hour on the station that's your easy choice, 95.9 FM WEZC. And to read the latest local news on your electronic device, including tablets, iPhones, and smartphones, go to DeWittDailyNews.com. DeWitt County's #1 source for local news is on the air, online, 24 hours a day.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mr. Drew Goebel is the superintendent of Clinton Schools and our guest in studio today, following up the Tuesday Board of Education meeting. Just a day late, but that's all right. Mr. Goebel, how you doing?
I'm good, Seth.
Thanks for coming out and talking with us as always. And I think the big item out of the Board of Education meeting from Tuesday was upgrades to sports facilities, more upgrades at the, if I'm not mistaken, at the football field and in the gym. Is that right? Or is it just the football field?
Just the football field.
Just the football field. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was both football and basketball, but
Nope.
just football.
Nope.
Okay. So what are we doing? What's going on here?
So it's the scoreboard. The current scoreboard is hanging on by a thread. I mean, it looks fine. If you look at it, it doesn't look broken. But it is the electrical system in it. It is not. We're just kind of hanging on. And so with the new facility, new football field and track, we had to make a decision. And even the sound system, we have zero sound.
Mm-hmm.
So with the renovations and everything, so we had two companies bid it out, and we did go with the OES scoreboard, and it's good, and it's going to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so different kind of repairs that we've done in the last probably 4 or 5 years to the facilities, whether that's sidewalks or parking lots. Or, a couple years ago, we fixed up the greenhouse, air conditioning units, water heaters, flooring. We spent a lot of money at Lincoln and Douglas elementary schools for new classroom furniture. So in the last 4 or 5 years, we've done a lot of repairs. So now, because we've done that, we do have money now in the budget to afford the new scoreboard that we do need.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the scoreboard itself, tell us a little bit about whether it's size, the features of it. I know you mentioned a new sound system, what that's going to be like. What are some of the specs on it?
The exact specs of the scoreboard, I don't know off the top of my head, but it will be large. It will be a video screen. So,
now, which side of the field will it sit on?
It will sit on the north side.
So where it's at now.
So where it's at now,
Okay.
and we looked at the potential of putting it to the other side. So as you walk into the field, then you look at the scoreboard, but the cost to run the electrical there would have been very expensive.
Yeah.
And then even if we would have tried to tap into the electricity over kind of by the Sunset Inn, and because there's electricity over there, then we don't own that property, so you have to an easement, and we did look into it, because I think it would have been, if we could have just snapped our fingers and had the scoreboard on the south side,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have looked nice.
Mm-hmm.
But just being financially responsible and that, so and I think it's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it will be a video board. And a couple years ago, when we went down to Sullivan, we had a big football game, a playoff game. They had a newer scoreboard, and it was a video screen, so you almost like a huge TV. So that's what we'll have, and then the sound will be on speakers in the new press box, so bleachers and press box that should be happening very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the concrete has been poured for the new bleachers. Again, on the west side of the field. So those, I would think, in the very near future, we should start seeing the new bleachers and press box go up. And then, so the sound system will be speakers on top of that, the press box, and then being shot out. And that was one of of the two quotes. The other scoreboard had the sound built into the board, and you couldn't really direction where the sound was going. It would just pointed
Straight out.
it would just gone straight south.
Mhm.
And people would hear it, but the sound system we went with had a higher quality, and then just where the sound was being placed. And I would give a lot, while I'm talking about, I'll give a lot of props to Matt Keppel. He did a ton of research on, we went to schools, went to universities, and looked at the actual product, talked. So we did a lot of research. It wasn't, and we've been, Matt mostly, and me, and he kind of keeping me updated. I mean, he's been researching this for well over a year, because we knew our scoreboard was in such bad shape.
And really timely, given everything, all the changes out there and all. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't with all the changes, like basically that scoreboard not going to work because of everything going on? Or am I wrong with that?
It would. I mean, and again, I'm not being
hyperbolic.
Yeah, like the current scoreboard, it's barely, and we always wonder if it's going to stay on. For track meets or even football games, we're just like, I hope it just doesn't glitch out in the middle of the track meet or the football game.
Yeah.
So we needed to do something. And
yeah, right.
And with that, we do have an amazing facility. I cannot wait until the bleachers are in and the press box. And so with that, if we would have put a smaller non-video board, I don't know if it would quite fit with the project that we've done. And again, this does fit into our budget. I mean, that's probably the most important thing that I can say, is that because we've been able to fix other areas, that does free up some money to do something like this.
I want to jump into real fast, if I may, these video board portion of it.
Yeah.
Eventually this video board will become a revenue generator.
Absolutely.
How will that work?
Absolutely. So because it's, think of it as a big TV. I mean, we could do things like movie night where families could come and get blankets and watch a movie on the football field, or and you can do games. You could, like, gaming. You play video games on the board. But besides that, we can run commercials at halftime or different timeout breaks where people that would be interested could run a commercial during a football game, and at a cost. So that's one source of revenue. But then at the bottom of the scoreboard, there's going to be spots where you can purchase, where you can have your business there lit up. And so Matt's working with local vendors, and if that's something that you'd be interested in buying and advertising, I think we're doing slots. You could purchase a spot for like a 5-year contract. But if you're interested in doing that, I'd give Matt Keppel a call or an email. He can tell you more of the details. But eventually, I think less than 10 years, we'll have it completely 100% paid off.
Okay.
And at that point, it is a revenue source. We will make money, almost like you buy a house and you're going to rent it out to people.
Yeah.
After a period of time, you have that paid off, and now you're making money.
Can you explain? You said, okay, so you said it fits into the budget,
Yes.
but then you said in 5-10 years we'll have it paid off. How does that work? Like, how can it fit in the budget, but we're paying it off?
Well, it does fit in the budget, so it'll be free and clear. We'll have it, but then I guess paid off is the wrong word. We will be reimbursed. so like we will own it, but then in time from advertisement, the money that we've paid towards it, we will recoup all of those funds.
Okay.
So it's kind of how it's maybe the semantics of it. We can afford it.
It's like taking a chunk out of your savings account and just gradually replenishing it.
And not even our savings account.
Right. But that's what I equate it to from like a home perspective.
So we every year, and you and I, before we got on the radio, talked about all the funds and the buckets of money. So we have money coming in just for operations and maintenance. And we have funds coming in for transportation, and we have money coming in for insurance, and we have money coming in for the education fund that's for teachers and benefits and salaries. So there's a lot of restrictions from the Illinois State Board of Education. So I like the same pot of money that the district is using to pay for the school board is completely separate from salaries or school lunch or any of those other or buses. It's separate. And so with this particular item, we can afford it, we can pay for it, but within time, all the money that we've spent towards it, we will get reimbursed 100% of it through the advertisements.
Mhm.
And then at that point, we will essentially get revenue from that,
Mhm.
that we'll turn around and continue to keep the facilities, like the revenue that we do make, again, that goes into the O&M revenue. Like we can't take that revenue and then spend it on salaries.
Okay.
You
Money can't put it on the lunch service.
No,
and
like
stuff
the
like
money
that.
coming in as a revenue source for O&M has to stay in O&M.
And that is tightly regulated too, right?
Absolutely. And that's something at the last board meeting, we did change our auditor. So every school district they get an audit. You have to get an audit. And those numbers go to Illinois State Board, the Regional Office of Education. So extremely regulated. And if you're spending money in the wrong fund and you're going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have to pay that money back to the fund that was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
School finance is not like a person's personal finance. Like your personal finance, all your money goes into your bank account, and then you're paying your mortgage, you're paying your car payment, you're buying your groceries, you're buying your clothes, you're going on vacation, and you have that one pot of money
right
for your personal finance,
and you can do with it what you want.
You can do whatever you want with it,
right?
And then you have to budget how much money you're gonna have. The state for schools, and they regulate and they put money in all these different buckets or funds, and then they say, okay, you have this much money for this fund, and then you have this much money for this fund, and then you have to kind of do with what you have within those regulations.
Yep, for sure. Well said there, Mr. Goebel. Well, I'll tell you what, with this new scoreboard, I think the big question, and it's been this way since you started, back with the basketball floor and then obviously the football field, it really came to light because of just, it's outside, it's present, everybody can see it. Why are we so focused on sports facilities right now?
Well, it was a few years ago when I was not the superintendent. We had talked about upgrading our facility to, there's different schools around our area that have gone to turf, and so that was a decision that the school board and the previous superintendent was very interested in doing. When we made those decisions, we had money in reserves in CDs, just gaining interest year after year. So the decision was made by the board members at that time and the superintendent at that time to pursue a turf field. And we could do that without raising taxes. We could do that without depleting our reserves. And that was something that I was very passionate about. If we're going to go big, which we did, I wanted to make sure that we had a rainy day fund of money just in the O&M account, because I think that's smart. You can't go through. So we did that. And so that's
just where you went.
I mean, that's essentially where we're at. And there is, as people come to Clinton, I want them to, I think there's a lot of school pride when you come to a football game and the kids are on. I mean, it's an amazing field. And if you haven't been to the field, it's one of a kind, and especially in this upcoming next school year with the football season and the bleachers are done and the press box done. It is one of a kind. It is, and for even track, we're going to have track meets and big tournaments, and people are kind of coming in, and they're not from Clinton, but they are seeing this. I think there's a lot of pride in it.
Yeah, I have to throw this at you because I have been approached about this a couple of times in the last few days. Again, I go back to previous administration. Playground was a big conversation piece. And again, I've been approached about this. Why are we not focused on playgrounds, but we're focused on sports? I guess
I think our playgrounds are in good shape. I would think the playground at CES is a very nice playground. A couple years ago, we put a brand new playground at Lincoln School. There are talks about possibly, it's in the planning stages, but possibly adding on to the Douglas playground. So we have 3 schools and with 3 playgrounds. Two of the playgrounds, Lincoln and CES, those are fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that. So I would debate or argue the point that we have not focused on playgrounds. I think our playgrounds are in good shape. Actually, I've been talking with the principal of CES, and we're going to be adding a couple pieces of playground equipment to CES. We there was a rock wall a couple years ago, but honestly, bees and insects would get into it and create an unsafe environment for kids because the wasp would like make nests in the rock wall.
Right.
That's a bad
Bad combination.
That's
Yeah.
a bad combination. Kids in a playground with bees. So we had to remove that. And then there was a merry-go-round that just wasn't. So we're going to replace those pieces. So another thing to the playground, we added a basketball hoop that was adjustable, because if you're in second grade, you may not be able to literally throw the ball to a 10-foot rim.
Yeah.
So we bought a very nice adjustable rim, and that's out there right now. So while it appears the focus, because it's so out there, is the football field and even the baseball fields and softball fields. A couple years ago, we spent a lot of money on upgrading the furniture at Lincoln Douglas School. The junior high, if you haven't been in there, the cafeteria floor, it was completely redone. So I want to make sure that as we're doing facility upgrades, that I'm not focused just on one area, and the whole district is being provided for.
Very good. Mr. Drew Goebel, Superintendent of Clinton Schools, our guest in studio following up the Tuesday night Board of Education meeting. More to come with him on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. A steady start with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. May corn opening $4.74, up 2 pennies. July corn up 1.5, $4.80 3/4, and new crop December $4.55 1/4, up 3/4. May beans starting the day $10.45, up 4 3/4. July beans up 3 1/4, $10.53 1/2, and new crop November $10.29 1/4. Up 1 3/4. May Chicago wheat $5.27 3/4, down 1/2 penny. July wheat down a penny, $5.42 1/2, and September wheat $5.56 3/4, down 1 1/2. May bean meal $2.89.50, that's down $1.30, and May bean oil $48.56, up 65 cents. Opening numbers on this Thursday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Spring is in the air, so it's time to choose your new Silverado. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We have a good selection of new Silverados with springtime savings and special finance rates. Choose from regular cabs, double cabs, or crew cabs in gas or diesel. We're also allowing extra money for your trade on all new Silverados this month. Silverado, together let's drive. See all our inventory at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
If you've got allergies this season, we have relief. CEO Paul Scarron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Come to our walk-in clinic inside our family medicine. No appointment, no problem. See our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Mr. Drew Goebel, as he's the superintendent of Clinton Schools, as we follow up the Tuesday Clinton Board of Education meeting. And Mr. Goebel's schools were out on Monday, and your staff had a really neat seminar about artificial intelligence in education. Tell us about this.
Yes. Yeah. If you haven't heard about AI, you're living under a rock. So yeah, we had call him an expert on artificial intelligence, AI, and he's from the Regional Office of Education, and he works with over 20 different counties throughout the state and educate teachers on how they can use AI in their classrooms and how, just like with anything, you can have a cell phone can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And just internet, there's good and there's bad. There's what I don't want teachers to do is to say, oh, AI is bad, I'm not going to use it, because I use AI all the time at work. There's different things that and there's so many, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini. I mean, there's so many different tools that you can use, but I want teachers to use it, educate students on how to use it appropriately. We don't want just throwing questions in there and then get that's not appropriate, but it can, and there's so many different, and the expert, when he came in, he talked to the whole district, but then he did a little breakouts with individual like schools and kind of like more like tailored it to, when he met with the high school teachers, how can you use AI at the high school? So it's how you use it. And there's so many different ways that it can benefit. And even companies, they're wanting their employers to be knowledgeable about how you can use AI. And you and I were just talking off the radio and how you use it as with sports and running your summaries of recaps of baseball games. And I've used it for whether it's helping me craft a message to the district.
Cool.
And then of course, then you have to tweak it. You have to make it yours.
Exactly.
It does calculations for you. You can, for financial things that a lot of times I'm doing, it can give me it can help me with that. So that it's like everything in the world, it's a tool and it's how you use it. And you can be responsible with it. You can be irresponsible. We want our students to be responsible with it and know how to use it.
How do you foresee it being a benefit, like in the classroom, in a school building? How do you foresee it being a benefit?
And again, that's why, and I'm by no means an expert on it, and that's why we brought in an expert from the ROE to help train teach our teachers how to do it. But it depends on what class. Like if you're in English, and a student's kind of stumped on where to start. You could throw a couple questions in the AI to say, hey, can you give me a couple starting sentences for my topics, this, or I'm looking for research on whatever, and then it can give you a starting point. But then now it's the student's responsibility to like take those ideas and then create whatever they're going to create. And then so maybe they have like I don't know how many paragraphs they have. They have a start, and then you can use AI to be like, hey, how can I make this better? What things am I missing?
Yeah, for sure.
But again, you can't just go, oh, that's what AI told me, cut and paste, turn it into my teacher, because now that's just plagiarism.
Yeah.
And so it's how to help students know what can they do, what can't they do, and it's education.
Yep, for sure. Well, Mr. Goebel, well said. Thanks for explaining that to us. Mr. Drew Goebel, superintendent of Blue Ridge Schools, of Clinton Schools, our guest in studio today, following up the Tuesday night Board of Education meeting.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222B.